Welcome back to our channel, guys. It is
Kat
and Kay, and in honor of Pride Month, we are giving y'all the raw and the real, and we are going to tell you our coming out stories today. Basically, what it's like to tell your family that you're in love with the same gender.
We're gonna talk about the good, the bad, maybe not so bad, but just the reality of it for our experience. So,
yeah. So let's get into it. You wanna go first, or do you?
I don't know. I don't know why I'm nervous to talk about it. I don't know why.
Girl,
I don't know why.
I'll go first.
Okay,
Dinner. Okay, guys. So my story starts how many years ago? How old was I when I'm 33 right now. Mm-hmm. So I came out when I was 15 years old. And I came out to my grandfather. He was raising me, and he was the only person in my life at the moment, at that point in time, that I felt, that I had to come out to. I don't even know why it's a thing. Why do you have to come out? Like,
yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, like, why is that even a thing? Because it's like, when you're straight, it is what it is. But like, I guess it's just like, because
it's more normalized, but there's a lot of people that still don't.
It's not as accepted. Yeah.
It doesn't register, or it's not as accepted because it's not as talked about, and it wasn't as it wasn't a thing growing up in their lives as much. There was no visibility, so it's not like in their forefront. Yeah. So that's why.
So I was 15 years old. At the time, first and foremost, I was always attracted to girls since I was young. It wasn't something that I was really aware of, that I knew that I was technically lesbian or whatever the case may be.
You didn't have a label.
Yeah. I was just a kid. I was attracted to girls, I had crushes on some of my teachers, some of my childhood friends, but I tried to do what I knew, growing up, which was just have boyfriends, things of that nature. But at the age of 15, I was dating a girl, and it was kind of under the wraps and stuff like that. And I decided that I wanted to come out, and that's exactly what I did. So it's crazy because I was actually in a placement for bad kids.
She was a bad girl.
Yeah, I was a bad kid. But I was in placement. And, the girl that I was dating, she was obviously not obviously, but she wasn't locked up. So we would write each other letters and stuff like that. And then, I would be able to come home on the weekends and stuff. And, I would see her and, my family and stuff like that. So it's called a home pass. So I was so nervous about it because I didn't know how to tell my grandfather. I didn't know what his response was going to be. And that was just that was very nerve-wracking. My heart's beating as it's happening all over again. I was so nervous to tell him, so nervous. But he came and picked me up for a home pass one weekend, and we're driving, and the whole time we're driving, my heart's pounding, and I'm in my head when's the perfect time to tell him? When's the perfect time to tell him? And we're driving on this back road, farm area, and I just look over at him. He's, driving, not even paying attention to me, and I was like, Pop, I got something to tell you. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, now I have to say it. Yeah. And he was like, what? And I was like, I took a deep breath, and I was like, I like girls. And he said, now you say what now? And I said, I have a girlfriend, I like girls. And he's like, who is it? He was saying, who is it? The girl that you be bringing to the house and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah. He was like, well, if that's what you like, then I don't care. And I'm like, it was the easiest. But at the same time, I felt he was a little uncomfortable. I don't know, but he didn't give me any backlash. I didn't feel judgment. I didn't feel judged from him. I think he was just a little shocked. He didn't talk about it. He didn't ask me any questions. He kind of just changed the subject right away as soon as I told him that. And he was like, well, if that's what you like, and then he was like, have you seen any deer around here? Because we're driving on the back road, and he used to hunt and stuff like that. And then he just changed the subject, and that was literally it. That was it. And like I said, he was the only person that I felt I did have to come out to. My grandfather raised me, And my parents weren't in my life at the time and stuff, so I felt like it was important to share that with him, and it was easy. And after that, like, I don't know, everybody knew, like, I was having a little girlfriend, and she was coming over all the time. And
so it was like public then?
Yeah, it was public.
Okay.
Kind of in school, it was already like people were already knowing and I was saying it, but like to him, like that was one person that I felt like I had to like come out to. I can't really remember if I ever came out to my mom. But once I did start dressing, because I was 15, when I came out. So probably about like a year later, I started dressing more like tomboyish and stuff like that. I did see my mom the one time. This was the first time she ever seen me in the streets, and I was walking. At the time, I used to like sag my pants. So cringe.
That was like the style at that time.
So cringe. And like my boxers were showing a little bit, and then I was like walking down the street, and my mom was in a car, and she seen me. She's like, "Kia, pull your pants up," and I'm like, and then she's like, she had like a little like. She just didn't like the fact that I dressed like a boy. So that was like her main thing. She never really cared that I was gay. She did express that she wanted grandchildren and, things like that. But I was like, yeah, you're not going to get that because I'm never going to be pregnant. Like, that was always something I knew since I was young, that I never wanted to be pregnant before I even knew what my sexuality was. But
I want you to just elaborate on like that you decided to switch the way you dress. Not because you wanted to be a boy, just to clarify.
Oh, yeah.
Because people really be mixed up with that. So now that we're talking about it, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It was more so that you were uncomfortable with how you dressed before.
Yeah.
And then, okay, go ahead, talk.
So ever since I was young, like, I was like a little tomboy. Like, I like to be comfortable. I like to wear hats. I like to wear, like, basketball shorts, things like that. Play outside, play with the guys, When I grew up, like, I was playing football with the guys and, just a tomboy all in general. And like I would hate, like I used to have to go to church, and I would hate when they would like make me wear dresses to go to church. Like I would literally like cry sometimes because I never liked dressing like a girl. So as I grew up in my teenage years, I used to wear tight, pants, skinny jeans. I wouldn't say that I was a girly girl. I was never one of those girls, but I did dress more feminine. So after I finally came out, it was probably like a year after, I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to dress how I want to dress. And yeah, I started, wearing baggy pants. I started wearing briefs. I started, wearing hats and changing up my style in that sense. And I did get a lot throughout my teenage years. I did get a lot of comments from men like, oh, you want to be a man so bad. And like, stupid shit like that. And it's like, no, I actually love being a woman. Like, I love being a woman. I'm just a woman that feels more comfortable dressing comfortable, and that happens to be, for me, that happens to be men clothes. I don't like tight things on my body specifically. I don't like my body parts being accentuated like through clothes and stuff like that. I don't like to be sexualized through clothes. So it just felt right to me. Like, it was just more me, and I finally got to express that, something that was like locked away since childhood, like, so I finally got to express that. And yeah, I've been dressing this way for basically more than half my life now. So yeah, my coming out story is pretty easy. I'm super grateful and super thankful because I didn't have the experience that like some other people have of being like shunned from their family or being judged, or their parents hating them or not loving them or not accepting them. Like, it was just, my grandfather wasn't like open arms with it, but I never felt judged from him, and I've had many girlfriends over the years, and this is my wife now.
It's me, I'm here now.
And I wish my grandfather would have got to meet her, but he actually passed right when she first came into my life. But but like I was saying, he never made me feel bad about myself, So I'm just thankful for that. My grandfather wasn't a very emotional person either, so I didn't expect for him to be like, open arms
embracing,
with it, like, flag out and all that shit.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience for me, and like I said, I never felt judged, not from my other family. My mom, I never felt judged from my mom either. She doesn't really think it's necessarily God's way, which I can understand her beliefs, you know, and I understand that different people have different belief systems, and I'm completely okay with that. She was more sad that like she's not gonna get grandchildren, and she would joke about like every time I broke up with, you know, a girl, she'd be like, oh, maybe you can get a boyfriend now and you'll have kids. I'm like, no, Mom.
And like, so recently she said that too, right?
She said that like how many years ago? So like
6 years ago.
So probably like 6 years ago when I was in my last relationship before Catherine. She said that jokingly on the phone. She was like, yeah, maybe I can get a grandchild now. Maybe you can get a boyfriend. I'm like,
oh my God.
Like cringe. Like I've been gay all my life basically, Mom. Like just stop. But like I said, I never felt judged from my mom either. Like, you know, she loves Kat. And yeah, they have a really good relationship too.
She loves and accepts me, accepts us. She loves our relationship.
Yeah. She knows that we're in love, and she could feel it, and she loves that I'm happy. Like finally, like she says, you know, like I finally am happy that you're happy, because, you know, my past relationships weren't the best and stuff like that. So she's just happy that I'm happy, but she also doesn't think that it's accepted in the eyes of God. So yeah. But you know,
but what more can you ask for? I mean, she doesn't agree with it, but she's still there and involved with us, and she still loves and supports us. So that's the most we can ask for. It's okay. Yeah.
I'm happy. Like I'm happy with my, you know, I'm happy with my coming out story. Like if that's even a
coming out,
I'm happy with it. Like I came out at 15 years old. It was okay. Like all my friends were cool. Like they didn't give a fuck. Like they were like, yeah, you gay now? Like, oh, what's up? Like, you know. But you know, some people had jokes. We were in high school. Everybody's immature. But yeah, it was pretty smooth for me. So like I said, I'm just super grateful to have had that experience, because I know that not a lot of people, you know, are accepted in that way by their family. So but
so wait, so you never told your mom? You just assumed?
I can't remember if I ever told my mom. Like I literally can't remember, because me and my mom, we weren't like, I wasn't raised by my mom, so we didn't have that relationship, so to say, like as we do now. So it's just not something that I can remember off the top of my head. The only person I really felt like I had to come out to was my grandfather.
Right.
So
he was in your everyday life.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was smooth. So that was good.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know, just I guess all my rest of my family, they just ended up finding out because they just seen the transition, like maybe through like Facebook, or just, you know, coming by and seeing that, oh, Kia's with a girl, or Kia's dressing like a boy now, and you know, stuff like that. So it was just like, oh, okay, this is Kia now. So
yeah.
How about you?
Cool. Well, me, I was always a girly girl. I never wanted to.
By the way, wait, she knew me in high school, right? Like we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. And like she remembers seeing me come back from school. Like
yeah. So I was in 10th grade. You were in 11th grade, and I remember that because I don't know. I've seen you before. I guess you just stood out to me somehow. I don't know. At this point, I was in denial.
She was digging me.
In 10th grade, I was still in denial. Okay, and we were in the hallway. I was in the hallway. We were. I think it was a time we were transitioning to another period, and we had class or whatever. We were walking down the steps. I was going like up, and like you were just like you had like a white tee on and baggy pants and braids, and I was like, what happened? Like, I was so surprised. I was like, oh, because I've seen you before. You were dressed normal. Like you weren't girly. You did your t-shirts with your sneakers and your jeans.
Yeah.
That girls wear that.
But like tight, like a regular plain tight shirt, tight skinny jeans.
She'll have her hair out. She'll like do a ponytail, like curl it, right? So that was what I was used to seeing her. Like I said, she wasn't super girly, but she wasn't.
I'm gonna try to find a pic. Hold up. I'm gonna try to find a pic and I'm gonna post it. Cause I was young. Yeah, I'm gonna insert it. I'm gonna insert some pics of me.
All right, so
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I used to get my eyebrows like waxed really thin, bro. But anyways.
Yeah. So, and then when I saw you with the jeans, I was like, what happened? Like she's just as like a tomboy now. Like I was just surprised because it wasn't just the way you dressed that you changed that surprised me. It was like your demeanor changed. Like you were just like more tough a little bit. I don't know. You look like intimidating. I was a little intimidating.
Why did everybody say that? They'd be like, you look scary to like to approach. I'm like, I'm so nice.
You are so nice, but you just look so, you were just focused on your way to like class and you just had a serious face. You were just in your own world, you know, you weren't like looking at people. I saw you though, you stood out to me. And I remember you being like taller. I don't know, like.
Wow, she trying to say I'm short?
No, I think I grew a little bit after that or something. I don't know. But.
Let me sit up.
But. But yeah, so that was interesting. I do remember that. But my coming out story, oh my God. So with me, let me give you some backstory, okay? With me, I've always been like super girly, so that's the dressing stuff is different. But I've always like dated guys, and oh my gosh, and I just remember my parents like judging people that dressed like a tomboy, like girls that dressed like a tomboy. People like either like gay relationships, lesbian relationships, they didn't understand it. They just were in their own like old-fashioned head, you know, and plus religion played a part too. So like I never judged it, but like I thought it was bad. So of course I knew I had like little crushes on girls and things like that, but I always like kept it locked up. I didn't like embrace that feeling or those thoughts. And I just focused on just guys. And then because to me that's what was normal, you know. Like,
same for me a little bit. Yeah.
So you know what's crazy? I just remember, side note, I asked my dad when I was younger, I don't know how old I was like an early teen. I was like, Dad, what if I told you that I was gay, that I like girls?
I'm just hearing this.
I just remember that because I was subconsciously like there. I knew it. And my dad was just like, oh, he thought I was just being a kid or something. But he was like, I mean, if you decide that you like girls, that's fine. But he was more worried about the other way around, like if his son liked the guy or something, which that's not the case anymore. My dad's okay with that too now. I think my parents have grown out of those like narrow-minded ways of thinking. So I always knew. I just like I said, I just like kept it away.
Well, you had a crush on that one girl in high school.
So I was gonna tell you. So then the one time when it really came out and like stood out to me that I like girls and like found them attractive physically and everything, I was in high school. I'm not gonna say names.
I know who it is.
Yeah. Want me to say?
Y'all do too, but we can't say names.
Oh my God! Stop! She's starting to stop making them think. So
get in the comments if you want to know names.
So she was like a good friend of mine in that moment. It was like a short period because we had like this club in common that we were together in, and I was just like, I don't know how I was every day. I just.
She was fantasizing about her.
I had some thoughts, okay? I had some thoughts. But there was no way that she was like that, so I would never even try to say anything. But I kind of just got over time. It just kind of like went away. It was like a crush that happened that was really strong for like 6 months, and then it kind of went away type of thing. So that was that. That's when that really like stood out to me. And then...
But did you still like think then? Did you think like, okay, well, I'm bisexual or I'm, I like girls, or you just... You kind of brush it off after that.
That's what it is. Yes, I brushed it off thinking that wasn't normal or like that, or that was like just a moment of impure thoughts. I didn't think, wait, like I wasn't aware enough to realize like maybe I like girls then. But so crazy how it's called, I forget the name, but it's when you think that you're straight because everyone told you that you are type of thing growing up, and like they expect that from you. So I just thought I was straight the whole time. I was like, I would never end up with a girl. I did not think I would end up with a girl ever in my life. But one day I decided, after like boyfriends and whatever, I was like 28 years old at this point. Okay,
this was a couple years ago, guys.
This was a couple years ago. This was 4 years ago at this point. No, I'm not 33. You're 33. I'm 31. Okay, 3 years ago, whatever.
Why does that seem so soon?
Like what? No, it wasn't 3 years ago. We were together 3 years. It was like 5 years almost. It was in 2020. Yeah.
29.
Oh my God, it's been 5 years. Oh my God.
It was in 2020?
It was in 2020,
okay.
Like half the year, so it's been 4.5 years.
Okay.
So
that's still really fresh.
They're really fresh. But
I don't know, guys.
At that point, right? The reason why
is she even a real lesbian?
Shut up. I didn't say I was lesbian.
Is she even really gay?
Like, I'm a fake gay. No, I always said it. I'm not like I haven't stopped being attracted to men. I just like women, fell in love with a woman. I'm married to a woman, and she's the love of my life, my soulmate, my best friend, my everything. So I make that very clear.
Yeah.
So what was I saying?
So you're bi.
Sure, if you want to put a
I always say that to her because she hates saying it. She's like, hates like, I'm like, so you're basically bi. She's like, I'm with you though, so like.
Well, labels too. I don't really want to.
I don't like labels either.
Yeah, so it's just. But I guess you could say I'm bi. I even thought I was like pansexual at one point because it's just I don't care what you are. I don't know. It's just it has to be like a connection for me. Like,
because she said she would date trans or like.
I don't know if I would. I don't know.
Well, you told me you would one time.
I don't know, maybe. It just, you see, that's why I always said that. Because it just depends. If it so happens that I meet somebody and we really click and like something just happened and they are whatever, I don't care. Like, I don't think I would. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Oh, no.
You meet?
Oh, no, not anymore.
Who you meet?
Not anymore. That was just
I don't know, guy. I don't know, chat. Leave some comments in the fucking, the bottom section.
Whatever.
So I gotta be worried, guys.
Shut up. So.
She like anybody, so now I was like, damn, like,
All right, babe. Anyways, continue. So, what was I saying? Okay, so then one day I decided once I was like, basically like, I was like, I'm not gonna care anymore what people say. I know this whole time while I was dating men, like I knew I would mess around with a girl or be interested in a girl, but I just never gave myself that chance. And I was always clear with that in my relationships. Like they always knew that. So I was open about that with them, but not with my family, not with my parents.
Why did that come up in your like relationship? So was it like threesome talk, or was it just like
one time it was a threesome talk, but
on your behalf or their behalf? I'll say
it was both about on our
Okay.
behalves. But I did bring it up. I mean, because when you're getting to know each other and you're talking about like likes and dislikes, I would just say it. Like
okay.
I know I'm attracted to girls. I just have never done it with a girl. I've never gave it a chance. So they didn't know that about me. I always said it. I was just clear with that. I don't know why I felt like I had to say it, but I guess I was just clear. Like
yeah, that's interesting. Going into a relationship with a man and then you're making it clear that you like girls.
I like girls.
That's very interesting. I would have been like, why are you saying this?
Yeah, like maybe you want a girl?
Yeah.
Is that what you want? I was just very clear. I just told him, hey, like I don't know, like, I like girls.
That's weird as fuck, yo. Why are you going into a relationship like, yeah, I like girls too, though? Like,
yeah, I just wanted to be clear. I didn't want no surprises.
But you weren't clear. You didn't like come to me and be like, yeah, I still like men, so.
So no.
So what was that about? It's like subconsciously, like
it was like subconsciously it was coming out, and I just did. I was never catching it. It was like trying to like throw me but I was never catching it. Like I don't know. It was like my higher self speaking to me, but I wasn't understanding.
I ain't gonna lie. If I was any of those men, I would have left your ass from the jump.
Really? Why?
Probably because it's like
I wasn't gonna cheat on them with a girl.
I don't know. It's just like like that's just like I don't know.
Really?
I'm like, why are you telling me this?
Like, why are you telling me this? Like, what's gonna happen next? Like, why is that necessary?
Unless you about to get you know what I'm saying?
And you know why I think they didn't say anything? Because they probably had that in their mind. Like, maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I kept it. I did keep it open. Like if that would happen, but I never was comfortable to do something like that. I just never did it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about how I came out.
My bad, guys. My bad.
She just started to for no reason. Anyways,
I like to stir things up a little bit.
So, thanks for keeping it interesting, babe.
Mm-hmm.
So, one day I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna live in my truth, okay, and I'm gonna experience this, and I don't care what nobody says. It was like this strength from like within. I was like over I was like over like doing what other people wanted me to do or like what they expected from me, society, blah 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 blah. I didn't care anymore. So I was like, I don't even care what my parents think at this point. I was like, I don't know what it is, but once I put that energy out in the universe and I was like, I'm ready, like come to me or whatever. Literally, I would have girls, like not girls, like one particular girl, like.
I was about to say, yo, this is all news to me. Girls.
And like I was open to it, and so I met the one girl online, and like that didn't work out.
Which girl? Oh.
I didn't say it.
What? But that wasn't after that wasn't before your girlfriend.
No, that was before the girl I had.
Okay.
Yeah, and like we hung out, like we even went running together, and like it was great. Like it was a good time. She was nice, but nothing happened after that. But then at that point I knew that I like girls. So I was like, okay, well, let's try again, whatever. So then something else happened, but this person lived overseas, and I knew this person from a while ago. So like that's why it wasn't like weird to me. And she lived near my family's house out there, so I was able to see her when I would go. And that worked out a little for like a year, and we were just dating each other from like long distance. So we did that, but that wasn't.
But you were going to see her. And stuff
I was
like
going
that.
to see her as much as I could. Yes.
It ain't tricking if you got it.
Oh my god! And oh my god! I mean, I could say that was like my first experience with. Oh my god! No, it wasn't. I forgot. I'm forgetting things.
You are forgetting.
Oh my god. Okay, whatever. So I did that after the.
That was her second experience.
That was my second experience. I didn't talk about my first experience because actually I forgot about that. But that happened like, oh my god, that happened like before the first girl, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So then, oh my god, I'm like.
That was a friend that like turned into something more.
Oh yeah, that was a friend, like a really good friend.
And then it just so happened that
happened,
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they felt the same way. Like they were like, oh yeah, let's experiment, and like, but yeah, no, I wasn't feeling that, and then that girl that I went on a run with, that happened, and then the girlfriend afterwards, that was the long distance relationship, and at this point, I had not told my parents yet. I was keeping it a secret. I needed to just live my own life for a little bit. I didn't want anybody trying to like give me no opinions yet, So. To clarify, when I was dating the girl overseas, before I actually went to meet her for the first time in person, I decided to have a conversation with my parents. That's when I came out. Because I'd be going to a different country to see them, and then like, I wanted them to know where I was at and why, for safety, because I want them to know, whatever. At this point, I was like, perfect excuse to tell them. So I went to my parents' house. I was like, Mom, I have something to tell you. And she was like, what, you're pregnant? Like, that's the first thing she thought. I was like, no, Mom, the complete opposite. It took me a while to say because it just couldn't come out. And she was guessing everything under the sun besides that. Like, that's something that she did not think of. I was like, Mom, I like girls, and I'm actually dating somebody. And she was like, what? Like, she was so shocked. And I was like, okay, that's normal. You didn't know. She's like, I didn't expect it from you. You like boys your whole life. I'm like, I know that I showed you that and that I did date boys, but I've always liked girls too. I just never felt like I could just do it publicly like that without being shamed or whatever. But now I don't really care what people think. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm just gonna do what I want. So, and then she was like, okay, well, she said, that's not what I wanted for you. That's not what I envisioned for you. Like, what, so like, what are your uncles and aunts are gonna think? I'm like, Mom, I do not care about that. That does not.
Oh, I didn't know that she thought that.
She said that, but I don't think she said it in that same conversation. She said that the weather, because she was like, don't make it public yet. Like, go see her if you really feel like you need to, but don't like don't post it, don't make it public yet until like, you don't want to burn yourself or. I can't translate it, but you don't want to put yourself out there, basically.
If you're not really sure.
If you're not really sure. And I'm like, Mom, I'm very sure. And if it doesn't work out, I don't care because it is not going to change what I like. If it's not with her, it's going to be with someone else. So, exactly. At this point, I didn't know about you yet. So, I was like, she's like, okay, well, your dad's not going to take it that well. But I won't tell him. I'll let you tell him when you're ready. And I don't know if it was that same day or if it was like another time, but because I can't remember for whatever reason. But with my dad, are you good?
No, I'm just like stretching my back.
Okay. So when my dad came out, I was sitting in the same couch and I was like, Dad, I have to tell you something.
He came out too?
No, he came out. No, he came out.
No, I need to take that out of here.
I can't stand it.
Humor.
My dad came out of his room and then I was in the living room and I was like, Dad, I have to tell you something. And he's like, well, okay, what? And I was like, so I am seeing a girl. I know you didn't know.
How did you feel telling your dad? Were you like nervous?
I was nervous and I can't remember how I felt before I told him, but in that moment I was nervous because I don't know how he would take it, if he would understand it, if he would care or not care. But I was so ready that I didn't really care how I felt. I want them to know and get that out the way so I can live my life, So, and I already had in my mind, I don't care what people are gonna think. I already had that in my mind. So I was ready to like expect the worst and not care, So I was like, yeah, I don't know if you didn't know this, but I do like girls and I'm actually seeing somebody right now. And they were just like, he was like, what? I was like, yeah. And he's like how? And I was just like, yeah, And I told him who I was dating. I told my mom.
Because they both know her, right?
They both know her. And my dad he goes, and I was like, Dad, I know you didn't know, but I've always felt this way. And then he interrupted me. He goes, oh, no, yeah, okay. And then he just walked away. And I was like,
It was too much for him. It was too much.
He couldn't take it, yeah. So he literally left. He was in his room for like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. And then he came back out like nothing happened. He goes, yeah, so anyways, Kat, so what are you going to do? I was just like, did we not have this conversation? And he never again had a conversation with me about it. He didn't even give me his blessings. He just kind of just like nothing. But I know he had conversations about it with my mom and my sisters. He had to like vent, but he didn't vent to me. Because my sister would tell me that he was like worried about me, or that I was dating someone overseas. He didn't necessarily like the person or like know her that well. So he was just like worried about me seeing her specifically as well. So I was just like, okay, I will try it out. I visited her a few times, and then I realized it wasn't for me anymore. And I kind of like let that go after a while. And my sister kept telling him like, guys, like, this is her life. Like, she is going to figure out what she wants and what she needs. You have to let her live. That's how they learn. That's how she learns. Let her make her own decisions. Like, you're not going to change what she wants to do. She's going to do it anyway, so let her do it. I was a grown-ass woman, but like my dad, I don't know. But still,
like, you're always your parents' child like, in their eyes, you know? Yeah. So it's like...
Yeah, and like, for them, this was like a big shocker. And then I didn't just come out. I also had a girlfriend, too. So it was just like a lot to like take in at once. And my mom was just... She was like, oh my God, like, she was surprised that I was dating her out of all people. She's like, how did you guys even connect? Like, you know, I was like, well, online, you know, nowadays online, like, you know. But yeah, that was that. Who else did I have to come out? I feel like I still have to come out to people though. Like customers at work. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. When they he her, I just let them he her, and then, you know, I'll just say, okay, like, let them think it's a boy, because I don't want to go into the conversation.
Yeah, and it's not really their business either.
It's not their business.
You know, unless you're like really personable with them and they're that type of customer, you can, you know, but you don't have to like.
When they're really, I can tell when they're really old fashioned or older, I don't go there. But when it's like a younger crowd, we get into it and it's fine. I have to just feel the customer out. I also don't have to talk about my personal life with people. It's a customer.
Is it like, why do you feel, just because you don't want to have those conversations, or
I don't want them to then discriminate me too.
Okay.
And then that's one. Or have any type of like piece of me, of personal information that's like so, it's like vulnerable too, and it's like, it's just, I don't want them to either think morbidly. I don't know if that's how you say that, morbid. Like, some people sexualize that. So if a guy's being like flirty with me or fresh or a little bit, and I'm like, I don't care when they're like that, as long as they're not being disrespectful. I just want to sell them a car. So it's okay. As long as you sign here, fine.
Yeah.
But then if I be like, yeah, my wife, some people will be like, ooh, you know, and so I'm just not trying to go there with people.
Like the guy the other day at the boat, remember the guy with the boat? Oh my
gosh, yeah, she experienced somebody, and he asked her if she was married because he saw her ring. And then he's like, yeah, my wife. She was like, he assumed that she was with a man. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, my wife. And then he was like, oh, like he's like, how is it? Yeah. It's like, come on, like, no.
Yeah, I was like, bro, like,
you wouldn't sexualize a guy and a girl being together. So don't sexualize two girls or two men. Like, they're just in the same, they're in a relationship. You know, they're just as valid. So it's just, some people, it's kinky for them, and it's or a fantasy, so they immediately sexualize it. So I don't tell just everybody.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to come out to the rest of my like cousins or uncles and aunts, because they were seeing it on social media. So by the time I saw them, they were like, oh, like, yeah, like, when am I gonna meet her? You know, no one really said anything like my parents thought. I think they're just really judgmental themselves. So it
was like a projection.
So it was like a projection, yeah. Like, and apparently, like I said,
and it's in the culture too, because you're Dominican, so like a lot of like older Dominicans, they're like against that. Yes. So it's like very like frowned upon, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But they love me. Her parents love me. Her dad calls me his daughter. Her mom loves me. Like,
they came to our wedding. They get along so well.
Thankfully.
They can't. There's some sad stories where their parents don't go to their weddings because they're just like,
I can't accept that.
I can't accept that. I won't walk you down. Like, no, my parents were willing to come and do whatever we said that they needed, that we needed them to be.
Yeah.
Wherever they needed to be at. So. Same thing with your mom.
Yeah.
She's not 100% like agree, but she loves us.
Yeah.
Like,
Same thing with my brother. Like, he's Christian and stuff like that, and he's like, I love you guys.
Yes.
But like, he just has the same beliefs as my mom. Like, in the eyes of God, that's not accepted or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? To each his own. If you believe that, that's fine. But there are so many people that believe that, who love us, who like, they're like, no, but I'm not about to like exclude you or make you feel unwelcome. That's you and God. That's not me. You know, that has nothing to do with them. They're like, I like you. You know what I mean? They're accepting of it.
Go ahead.
That's fine. I was just gonna say, like, so there's some people that have those values, but they still are accepting.
Yeah. I think that's my family, and your family too.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I don't believe that they're like, I don't feel like they feel like it's right, but they do accept us, you know?
Right.
But also, I grew up in, oddly to say, a Mennonite church. Yeah. And when I was young, you know, and I was coming to terms with my sexuality, I was so scared every day because of my, you know, religious beliefs, which I now know to be something completely different, but we don't have to get into that. Right. I just have a completely different set of beliefs about what God is and, you know, heaven and hell, all that stuff. So I was literally used to pray every day that I wouldn't go to hell and that God would forgive me, because I didn't want to fully accept my sexuality because of that, because I was scared that I was gonna go to hell. And some people watching this, you might think that, you know, but what I know now,
like we said, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, that's you know, that's your belief, and I'm accepting of other people's beliefs. I don't necessarily think it's true because I have different set of beliefs, but you know, it's fine. It's okay. Like, we don't have to judge each other based on each other's beliefs and stuff like that. So but yeah, I used to pray all the time, and I would be scared. That was my basically number one fear at such a young age, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna go to hell for this? And I would pray and pray and pray and pray, and like, something in the back of my mind was like, oh, you should just have a boyfriend, and you know, but it just wasn't who I was. No. And it's just like, I couldn't do that anymore. And like, I just fully accepted myself, and you know, it took a while for me to not feel that way, you know, about myself, and you know, feel like I was doing something wrong. But now I can kind of look back and I could kind of laugh at it, because I was like, oh, it's really silly. But
yeah,
in the eyes of some people, it's like, you're condemned, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
But you know,
but we don't believe that, and like, we're in a much better place, because we know that it doesn't, well, for us, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
we're loved and accepted, and we were created this way for a perfect, what is it,
in God's image.
Yeah, God's perfect image. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of felt those feelings again. I was just like, oh, that was really heavy to carry. That, for me, it was really, really heavy to carry. But I'm so glad that, you know, that's the past now. And you know, just being authentically me has been a journey, I could say, but it's been so liberating, you know, just to dress how I want to dress and feel comfortable in my own skin. And yeah, I took backlash, you know, from a lot of men. Surprisingly, a lot of men, like, really, like growing up, like, a lot of men, I've even had men try to fight me. I've even fought men before, but because they thought I wanted to be a man, or I was trying to be too masculine, or whatever the case may be. And yeah, I dealt with a lot of like hate from men. It was more men. It's
like, why are the men hating on that? I would say question that. Just question it. That's the only thing I gotta say. That's judgy. I'm already judging right now. Yeah.
I already know.
Yeah, but I'll let you guys guess.
But yeah, so that was like my only like trials, I guess, with like coming out and stuff like that, and finally like expressing myself through, you know, clothes and stuff like that. That was like the hardest thing that I went through, was just like, you know, just like backlash from men, hate from men, you know, stuff like that. So, but other than that, I don't experience that now anymore. I don't experience that now. And maybe it was because I used to be a little bit more tough than I am now. I'm more like loving and more open and more
gentle,
healed. Yeah. So, you know, I was probably attracting that in some way, but yeah, I don't experience that now. Like, I feel like I receive love and acceptance from everybody, mostly. I mean, if not, they're not expressing it, so I don't know. But yeah, and like, you know, through our social media platforms, like, we experience so much love. Like, we have this like social media family, and it's just like a really beautiful thing to be able to, you know, be who you are, and, you know, not feel judged about it, and just still feel love. You know, because we're just here to show y'all love. Like, real, like, this is not one of those relationships that it's the social media relationship. Like, this is our real life, and like, we are truly, wholeheartedly in love. Like, it's so real between us, and like, we just want to show you that. And like, through our videos, so many people feel that, and it just feels good, you know, to be able to be in that space to, you know, just
show that,
express it. So happy Pride Month, y'all.
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. I'm not one of those gays that like is like really like gay, you know, go to Pride with the flags and the rainbows and stuff. But like, I support everybody, and I love everybody. Like, not only for, you know, the LGBTQ community plus. Oh yeah, because there's a plus now.
There's more than a plus, but let's say plus, because there's more than that.
Okay, see. Yeah. That's how not gay I am, because I don't. Cash, she knows way more than me when it comes to like all the labels and stuff like that. But like, I'm accepting of everybody. Like, it's just, for me, love is love, and that's really all it is. And God is love too. So that's the way I look at life. That's the way I see life, and that's the way I live life. So, you know,
I love that. We try not to live in fear. We try to live in love.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we try. We do live in love.
Yeah.
As much as we can.
Yeah, as much as we can. Yeah. All right, guys. So thank you for letting us share our stories about coming out. And just remember that, like, no matter where you are in your journey, that you are worthy and you are deserving of love, happiness, and acceptance. And love always wins.
Yes.
Love always wins. And that's the bottom of it. Love always wins. So happy Pride Month to my whole LGBTQ plus community. Had to say it a little slow, but you know. Happy Pride Month to everybody. We love you, and we will see you back for our next video next week. You already know what to do. Like,
comment.
Why she always late on that?
I had to think, because I did not expect that.
And subscribe. It's Kat and Kay.
It's Kat and Kay.
And we out.
Yeah, we love you.